Welcome back, everyone. Today we're diving into something. Well, it's a sensitive topic, but it's a really powerful story too. Kate Middleton's journey with cancer, and our source for this deep dive is a recent news article that highlights her first public appearance of 2025. And guess where it was? The very hospital where she received treatment. Talk about a loaded choice.
Yeah, it definitely sparks a lot of questions about her intent. Is it about closure, gratitude, maybe even a desire to inspire others who are facing similar challenges?
Right. So let's break down what we know from the article. First, the fantastic news is that Kate's cancer is officially in remission. Now, for those who might not be familiar with that term, remission means that the disease is no longer actively progressing. So it's a significant milestone, and one that she marked by publicly thanking the staff at the Royal Marsden Hospital. She praised their exceptional care. But there's more to it than just a thank you, right?
Yeah, definitely. She and Prince William have taken on a new role, joint patrons of the NHS trust that oversees the hospital. This move is, well, it's more than symbolic. It signals a deep personal commitment from both of them, and it could potentially open doors to increased fundraising, research initiatives, and even just raising the profile of the NHS trust itself.
That's a really good point. I hadn't considered the ripple effect on the entire institution. Now, the article also mentions a more personal touch. Kate took to social media and signed off her message with a simple C. What do you make of that choice, especially in the context of her very public role?
It's interesting. It's like she's deliberately stripping away the royal facade in that moment. She's not the Duchess of Cambridge there. She's just C, a person who has faced a terrifying illness. It's a way of connecting with other patients, saying, I'm one of you. And that resonates deeply with people, especially in the world of cancer treatment, which can be so isolating.
And it ties in beautifully with her statement about adjusting to a new normal and focusing on recovery. This idea that even when the treatment ends, the journey isn't over. That really struck me. What are your thoughts on that, particularly from a psychological standpoint?
You've hit on a crucial aspect that's often overlooked. Cancer treatment is life-saving, yes, but it's also incredibly disruptive. It impacts your identity, your relationships, your whole way of life. So yes, there's the physical recovery, of course, but there's also the emotional and mental readjustment that needs to happen. Kate acknowledging this publicly is huge. It validates the struggles of so many people, countless others who are navigating life after cancer.
So it's about far more than just regaining physical health. It's about rebuilding a sense of self, rebuilding a sense of normalcy within this new reality. And it wasn't just words either, was it? Kate actually spent time talking to other patients at the hospital. The article mentions a conversation with another patient, Catherine Field. They talked about the port mechanism used for chemo. Apparently, Kate even joked about getting attached to hers.
Oh, wow. That little anecdote is fascinating. It shows she's willing to engage in the nitty-gritty, the less glamorous aspects of treatment. And using humor, even dark humor, is really common in these situations. It's a coping mechanism. It allows for a moment of lightness, of shared experience, and ultimately connection.
It makes her seem so much more relatable, right? Not just this distant royal figure,
Yeah.
but someone who's been through the trenches, so to speak. And speaking of relatable moments, there's this really poignant encounter described in the article where Kate met a woman whose daughter is in intensive care. Kate offered words of comfort to her, reminding her that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
That moment speaks volumes about the power of empathy, especially from someone in Kate's position. It would have been so easy for her to just offer platitudes or to keep a professional guidance, but she didn't. She chose to acknowledge this woman's pain and offer a simple gesture of human connection. And sometimes that's all it takes to make a difference.
Absolutely. So far, we've covered Kate's remission, her message of hope, and her really down-to-earth interactions with other patients. But this visit wasn't just about reflection, was it? She's very clearly looking forward, committed to supporting research and patient well-being. What do you think is the significance of this forward-looking stance, especially for someone who has just gone through such a difficult experience?
It's incredibly important, both for her own healing and for the message she's sending. Hope is a powerful force. It fuels resilience. It motivates action. It reminds us that even in the darkest moments, there's something to strive for. And when that message comes from someone like Kate, someone who has faced such adversity, it carries even more weight.
That's a brilliant point. So to recap this first part of our deep dive, we've seen that Kate's journey isn't just about her personal experience with cancer, but about her decision to use her platform to raise awareness and offer support. But there's another layer here, isn't there? Something about how this whole experience is unfolding under the public eye.
Yeah, you're right. There's a whole other conversation to be had there about the role of public figures in shaping conversations about illness and healthcare. How much should they share? How do we balance the need for privacy with the potential benefits of being open and vulnerable?
That's a really interesting question to consider, and one we'll definitely explore further in the next part of our deep dive. But before we move on, I want to pause here and ask you, our listener, what's standing out to you so far? What thoughts or questions are swirling in your mind as we delve into this complex and deeply personal story?
It's fascinating to consider the timing of it all, you know? Her choice to make this her first public appearance of the year, it almost feels like she's making a statement, don't you think?
Yeah, it's like she's saying, this is where my focus is right now. Not just on her own healing, but on using her platform to shine a light on this issue. And her words.
Ew.
Those statements about adjusting to a new normal and prioritizing recovery, they really resonate far beyond just the world of royalty.
Absolutely. They speak to a universal experience, grappling with a health crisis, and understanding that healing isn't linear. It's not just about the physical body, but about navigating those emotional and psychological aftershocks. And let's be honest, hearing that from someone like Kate Middleton, well, it carries a certain weight.
It does. It normalizes the struggle.
Yeah.
It makes it okay to not be okay. And she doesn't shy away from the more difficult aspects either, does she? Talking about chemotherapy side effects.
Yeah.
Joking about being attached to a report. It's a level of honesty we rarely see from public figures, especially those in her position.
It humanizes her. It dismantles that perception of royalty as somehow above it all, above the messy realities of illness. It's a subtle but powerful message. It's like she's saying, I'm just like you. I've been through the ringer and I'm still here.
And that vulnerability, that willingness to share those less glamorous details, it creates space for connection, doesn't it? It invites others to open up, to know they're not alone.
Exactly. It's the opposite of that stiff upper lip mentality, the one we so often associate with the British monarchy. And that's what makes this whole story so compelling. It's not about Kate Middleton, the Duchess. It's about Kate Middleton, the human being, facing a difficult situation with remarkable grace and resilience, and then using that experience to uplift others.
That's a great point. And it's illustrated beautifully in that emotional encounter with the mother whose daughter is in intensive care. Kate's words of comfort, the simple act of putting her arm around the woman, it speaks volumes about her compassion and empathy. It's a reminder that sometimes the most powerful gestures are the smallest ones, the most human ones.
Absolutely. In the midst of a crisis, those small moments of human connection can be so powerful. A kind word, a shared silence, a simple touch. They can provide a lifeline.
It speaks to a shared humanity, the understanding that we all face hardship at some point. And in those moments of vulnerability, it's the support and understanding of others that can make all the difference.
And Kate's actions highlight that it's not just about grand gestures or public pronouncements. It's about fostering a culture of empathy and support in our everyday interactions.
So as we reflect on Kate's journey, how do you think we can translate this into tangible actions in our own lives? How can we be more mindful of the challenges others face, even if they're not as visible or as widely publicized as a cancer diagnosis?
That's such an important question, and I think it starts with recognizing that everyone has a story. Everyone has a battle they're fighting, even if we can't see it. It's about being present for one another, offering a listening ear, a helping hand, a shoulder to cry on.
It's about creating space for vulnerability, for those open conversations about the things we often try to hide or downplay.
Exactly. It's about fostering a sense of community and shared humanity, remembering that we're all interconnected, that our actions, no matter how small, can have a ripple effect. And Kate's story embodies that beautifully, her resilience, her commitment to healing, her desire to use her experience to make a difference. It's a beacon of hope.
It is. It's a reminder that even in the face of immense adversity, there's always light to be found, a reason to keep fighting, to keep believing in the possibility of a brighter future. But this raises another question, doesn't it? This idea of Kate's story unfolding so publicly, it's not something everyone facing a health crisis would choose.
You're right. It brings up a lot of interesting questions about how we as a society view illness, particularly when it comes to public figures. Is there a pressure to be strong, to maintain a certain image? Does sharing their struggles help or hinder their journey?
That's something I'd love to unpack further, and I think our listener might be curious about that too. But before we go there, let's pause here for a moment and allow these ideas to sink in. What are your thoughts, listener? How does Kate's approach to navigating her illness in the public eye resonate with you?
So we were just talking about Kate navigating this whole journey so publicly.
Right.
It's not something everyone would be comfortable with. To have such a personal battle play out on the world stage,
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it does raise some important questions about how we view public figures, especially when they're facing health challenges. There's often this expectation that they should be invincible, always presenting this picture of strength and resilience.
It's like we forget they're human, subject to the same vulnerabilities and fears as anyone else. And that pressure to maintain that perfect facade, it can make it so difficult to be open and honest about their struggles.
Exactly. But when someone like Kate Middleton chooses to share her story and to let us see her vulnerability, it can have a really profound impact. It chips away at that pedestal we put them on and reminds us that we're all in this together.
Yeah, it's like she's giving others permission to be vulnerable, too, to say it's okay to not be okay. And that can be incredibly empowering, especially for those who might feel isolated or ashamed of their own health challenges.
It absolutely can. By sharing her story, Kate's helping to destigmatize illness, encouraging open conversations, and fostering a sense of community among those who might otherwise suffer in silence. And that can lead to greater understanding, more support, and even inspire others to seek help when they need it.
It's a ripple effect, and it's so powerful. It reminds me of Kate's decision to become a joint patron of the Royal Marsden NHS Foundation Trust. That's not just a symbolic gesture, is it? It's about actively working to make a difference.
No, it's not. It speaks volumes about her commitment to this cause. It's a way of leveraging her platform, not only to raise awareness, but to potentially drive funding, support groundbreaking research, and ultimately improve the lives of countless people affected by cancer.
So it's about action, not just words. It's about translating personal experience into tangible change. And that brings us to the heart of what we've been exploring today. What's the key takeaway from Kate Middleton's cancer journey, especially for those of us who might not have the same platform or resources?
I think for me, it's a multi-layered message. It's about the power of vulnerability, the importance of empathy, and the potential for shared experiences to create connection and inspire action. It's a reminder that even in the face of adversity, there's always hope, strength, and the possibility of making a positive impact on the world.
Beautifully put. It's a story that leaves us with a lot to ponder, isn't it? How can we be more supportive of those facing health challenges in our own lives? How can we contribute to the fight against cancer, whether through advocacy, research, or simply offering a listening ear to someone in need?
Those are questions worth exploring, both individually and as a society. And as we move forward, let's remember the lessons we've gleaned from Kate's journey. Let's be kind, compassionate, and proactive in our efforts to create a world where everyone feels supported and empowered in the face of health challenges.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on this incredibly insightful deep dive into Kate Middleton's cancer journey. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep the conversation going.